In the last hour, Georgia's parliament's approved a bill on foreign agents, which has sparked mass protests. Overnight, police used tear gas to break up gatherings in the capital, Tbilisi. Well, these images were filmed late on Tuesday near the Parliament building. Reports say several arrests were made. Local media outlets reported that police had attacked some of their journalists. Now, the new law would require any independent NGO or media organisation which gets more than 20% of funding from abroad to register as an organisation pursuing the interest of a foreign power. Well, critics say it mirrors a Russian law on foreign agents, which they say has been used to silence media outlets which are critical of the Kremlin. Well, they say it could impact Georgia's hopes of joining the European Union. European Council President Charles Michel posted about the issue on X yesterday, saying that the law would bring Georgia further away from the EU and not closer. Meanwhile, the Kremlin says these protests are being used to stoke anti-Russian sentiment in the country. Well, Georgia shares a border with Russia, and it became an independent state in 1991 after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Well, this bill will go through several stages in Parliament, and if it is passed, it could be vetoed by the country's President, Salome Zurabishvili. And she joins me now from Tbilisi. Welcome to BBC News, President Zurabishvili. Tell us why you're concerned about this proposed law.
Well, it's a major concern because it is exactly a copy of Putin's law that was adopted in 2012 and then gradually increased and developed. It's a law against the NGOs' activities, it's a law against media activity, and it's a law against all the international organization of our partner countries, European countries, Great Britain or United States, that have been supporting Georgia's independence, the building of state institutions, the development of our economy for the last 30 years and more. And so it's a very big concern. That's why last year this same law was rejected by massive demonstrations and it couldn't be adopted. And this time, the repeat of this law is a direct provocation to the Georgian society.
The Prime Minister says that the law is needed to ensure the financial transparency of those who are receiving funds. What would you say to that?
Well, everything is very transparent because you all know that these international organizations that are supporting Georgia have very strict rules when they're funding different national organizations on the transparency of their support. And that is very clear. There are websites on which everyone can find all these details. What is not transparent is the corruption in the high level of the government. It's not transparent in the way decisions are taken, especially this decision on reintroducing a law that all our European partners have said will go against our European future and integration. Who has decided that this law should be reintroduced? Is it in Georgia or is it beyond our borders? Is it in Moscow that this decision has been taken? That is the main question about transparency that the Georgian population is asking, and it's asking that question in many, many more numbers, and we are at the third day of massive demonstrations, massive and peaceful demonstrations, and I call on the authorities not to go into any form of direct or indirect repression.
President, can I ask you this? This is also kind of tied into something you just talked then about other people concerned outside of your country, including the EU and other Western partners. Do you think if the law does go through, it's past one stage today, that the chances and the hopes that many have of Georgia one day becoming a member of the European Union could be dashed?
Well, it's a law that clearly shows the intent of some in power to put obstacles on our road towards European integration. But what's happening on the streets is showing that the Georgian people are determined to go that way and to go towards European integration. The main test will come on the 26th of October with the election. And this law is also a way to try to put an obstacle towards free and fair elections. But I don't think it will happen because this population has been determined for centuries to preserve its independence.
Okay, President, before we let you go, are you going to veto the law? Because if it does indeed pass all the stages of Parliament, as President of the nation, you do have the right to use your veto.
I'm indeed going to veto this law as I'm vetoing all the other laws, because that's not the only one, it's the whole strategy that go against the recommendations of the European Union. But my veto will be certainly overseen because there is a majority in the Parliament that has the votes necessary to oversee my veto. But my veto is the voice of the people, and that voice will be heard loud and clear.
Okay, thank you so much, President Zurabishvili, speaking to us live from Tbilisi in Georgia. Thank you so much.